Welcome to the Conscious Diabetic Podcast.
Okay then, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the Conscious Diabetic Podcast. Sorry, I am Brett Taylor, the Conscious Diabetic, and we have a man who has a long list of certifications, qualifications, achievements in the world of bodybuilding and fitness and health. He's got his own founder of his own business, Keshta, I think it was called. Founded a sports community as well, I think it was. Mr. Khalid Kestha. Am I right there?
Hi, Brett. Yeah. All perfect. All good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I've been trying to get hold of you for a long time, haven't I? Trying to get you on this to talk about this because you cover a subject which is quite close to me, being the sort of the bodybuilding and like not extreme fitness, but achieving such amazing goals as a type 1 diabetic. Now, before we go forward into that sort of stuff, we always like to look back upon the diagnosis side of things and where this type 1 journey started for you. So please, where did it all start for you, and where has it gone on to now then?
Right. So I got diagnosed about 10 years ago in 2011 on my 18th birthday. At that time, I used to play football, actually. I had nothing to do with bodybuilding. I used to play football professionally. I played for a club called Swindon Town.
Okay.
Under 16 back then. But I started feeling very sick. I started losing a lot of weight. I started getting thirsty. You know, the typical symptoms of someone
the 40s.
Hypoglycemic.
Yeah, the 40s.
Everyone that got diagnosed would know that feeling.
Yeah.
But with me, I think it lasted for at least a year. And I'm saying this because the hypoglycemia symptoms that I get now, I remember I used to feel it way back before getting diagnosed. So, I think I left it for long. I didn't expect it. Even though my parents are doctors, they never doubted once that I might, have diabetes. It was unusual back then. But I reached a point that it just went insane. I used to have no concentration. My eyesight started getting blurry. Even with my sports and my studies, everything fell apart. I couldn't play properly. So we decided, you know what, let's do a blood sugar test. We had a blood sugar monitor in our house. When I test, it always said that there's an error. But when my mother or my siblings test, it gives them the value from 4 to 8, the normal range. And it said on the monitor that if it says error, it means you're either not inputting enough blood or it's just out of range.
Yeah, it's too high, basically.
Exactly. That's what it is. So I think the maximum it will give you is like 30 millimole per liter.
Yeah, I think it's 30.
Just said, let's just rush to the hospital, see what happens. Because you can see in my face, like I used to train a lot and eat, but then I keep on shrinking. So went to the hospital, they tested me, I was 47 millimole per liter.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
Some people get diagnosed at 20 and so 47.
And even at 20 when undiagnosed, it's not an enjoyable experience. Up to the 47s is you start getting like all that, say there's no oxygen traveling around in your body, or there's a lack of oxygen. It's almost like poison going around your
excuse me, the amount of ketones that I had in my body then.
Yeah.
The doctor told me, here in UK, they're straightforward. They just told me, listen, if it wasn't for the amount of water that you used to drink and pee, and because it flushes out the sugar from the blood, you would have been in a coma, almost probably dead.
Yeah.
And just imagine my face, like hearing that. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't know anything about diabetes back then.
Yeah. At 18 years old as well, wasn't it? So quite a shock at 18 years old, yeah?
Exactly. So I tell people all the time, like, some people, their kids get diagnosed when they're young. Some people get diagnosed in their 30s. And people ask me, what is the best age? I'm like, there is no answer to that because obviously there is no best, but because people think that 18, for example, is better to be diagnosed at 18 than when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're younger, if you're an infant or just a little kid and you got diagnosed, your life from the start till now, you wouldn't even know anything apart from
Correct.
managing your blood sugar, counting carbs and all that.
Yeah.
And if you're older, it gets worse because all of a sudden there's a massive switch in your life. Like for 30 years, you never knew what carb counting is, or you never tested your blood sugar. All of a sudden, it's the main part of your life. So yeah, I got diagnosed. If you ask me how I felt at that day when I got diagnosed, obviously they put me in insulin drips. I went in a severe hypo when my blood sugar was around 15. That's how hypoglycemic I was.
So your body got used to that high level of blood sugar, and then as soon as as soon as it started coming down, then you started experiencing problems.
Exactly. And I didn't know what it is. I didn't even know that it's a hypo. So I'm like, I just woke up from the coma. I'm like, I'm hungry. Give me food. And then the nurse gave me like an egg sandwich.
Yeah.
Now thinking about it, knowing what I know now, I'm like, I just got diagnosed with diabetes. Give me the anyway. Woke up the next day. I felt amazing. I was very grateful and I was actually happy. And that's funny and it's weird because people think you just got diagnosed with a chronic condition. How are you happy? But I was very ill to a point that once I started taking insulin, I started seeing like brighter colors. Breathing was better. It's like because I think if it would have prolonged the pre-diagnose, it would have gone bad. So it was good that this happened. And again, I felt revived. So for me, I didn't think what's going to happen in the future, that now I have to take insulin and all that. All I thought of is I'm in a better position now. At least I know what was wrong, because I kept on thinking there is something wrong with me for months, but I didn't know what it is. So yeah, just knowing what is wrong and, treating it or just, dealing with it, that was actually a good thing for me. So I was very happy.
Yeah, no pun intended, but going blind, for me, the pun, but going blind throughout without the knowledge or information, you don't know where you're going. But once you have that information, then you have that clarity of saying, right, now you can resolve the issues. Now you actually have a treatment plan. Now you have all these things. And you mentioned shortness of breath there. Now, this is one of the other side effects of ketoacidosis, in that you might, if your child or if your partner or anyone else is there and they either they're sleeping or let's say they come and say, I don't feel well. There's that really short, sharp breath is, you can't breathe properly when you're in ketoacidosis. And again, I've been there. I've done that a lot of times and it's a horrible feeling. And luckily I've not had KAD for many, many, many years now. So your diagnosis and your treat. So the doctors diagnosed you. You got your treatment. You got your insulin. You got taught how to do blood sugar. What happened then after your 18th birthday, wasn't it, as well? So So what happened then? Did you with your parents being doctors? What sort of doctors are they as well?
They're gynecologists.
They're gynecologists. So they're not really geared towards general practitioner.
Back then, yes. Now they are specialists in diabetes. So
okay, then
my condition transformed the whole family, including myself.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So your parents obviously were then, I imagine, became very active within that area of life with you, and that made things progress and get better for you then. So what happened with the sports side of things then? Where did that come into play during the next few years?
So back then, as I said, I used to play football.
Yeah.
I got out of the hospital. I felt great. Straight away, I think a couple of days afterwards, I went to my training and I was a completely different player. I was better than I ever was, because I don't know, it was probably the jump of, feeling crap to feeling normal. For me, it wasn't normal. For me, it was perfect. I was like, wow, I can see, I can run, I can breathe, I don't need to drink water every 10 minutes. I don't need to, leave my training to go and pee. So for me, it was like, wow, I just feel amazing. But unfortunately, 3 months later, I broke my knee and I ruptured my cruciate ligament. And my knee was like shattered into pieces during a charity tournament. So I had 2 operations to try to repair it and both failed. But I got injured in January. and I was on crutches, and the operation was meant to happen in May. And I thought, you know what, I can't stay inactive like that. And I used to go to university as well. So I did, actually, you might probably knows it. Not a lot of people know that, but I did civil engineering.
Did what, sorry?
Civil engineering. So I've got a master's
yes,
degree.
So yeah. Okay, yeah.
So I used to go to uni, but during that 5 months, I decided I don't want to remain inactive, just staying at home. So I started going to the gym.
Okay.
Just normally, working out just like anyone else. But as you probably know, some people are just genetically gifted that their body would transform quicker than others, or some. It's like some people would put on mass easier than others. Some people would lose fat easier than others. It doesn't mean that if you're not genetically gifted that you shouldn't train. I'm just saying sometimes it's easier. Some people got big calves. Have you seen that? Like massive calves, and they've never been to the gym. So,
it's genetics. So my sports dietitian, because I work with a sports dietitian in Manchester who she trained with the GB team. She worked for Adidas and everyone, and she said to me, she went, "You've got some diabetics that just burn fat when they train. You've got some that fat doesn't move. You've got some that bulk up." Like naturally, it's nothing to do with you. It's just your genetics, basically.
Exactly.
And
the
stimuli that you put to the body as well, because your body responds to whatever stimuli that it comes across.
Of course, yeah. And you mentioned that she used to be Team GP weightlifting.
Yeah, Team G. I don't know if it was weightlifting, but she trained or worked with the dietary requirements of like the GB, I think, athletics team, but focusing on the 16 to 21, 22 years old category.
Yeah. To give you a perfect example of that is my brother. He is a GP weightlifter.
Okay.
And hopefully he's going to the Olympics in 2024.
Awesome.
His body compared to mine is completely different. If we do the same training, his body, he's the type of person that would just get big and get bulky and get strong. I'm not like that. I would. It's easier for me to lose the fat, to look better.
Yeah.
But I'm not as strong as him. So that's, genes do play a role, even though we're brothers, but we've got different genes. So anyway, back to the point. I started training, and I saw that 1 second, my body is transforming quickly.
Yeah.
I didn't even know anything about diet, and I used to go there and just do the normal average Joe training. So when I had the operation in May, my ambition was to play football. I did physiotherapy, and then in 10 months, they declared me that it's fine for me to play again. And in the first 10 minutes of training, I broke the same knee with the same injury. And it's just, that's it. I mean, I knew it. I knew that that's it. Once it happens, that's it.
Yeah.
Had another operation, an endoscopy, to see what's happening and try to fix it. They did what they can. But since then, I knew that football was over. So I kept my focus in bodybuilding, but not because of bodybuilding. I started getting connected with the diabetes community online, and started studying my condition. I was very interested to know more about how can I utilize my diabetes, or how can I, because there's a lot of myth around about people come train if they have diabetes, that you can't. Minor specifically, he told me that when I told her, hey, I'm planning to become a bodybuilder, and she said, first of all, you're not doing this. Second of all, you're unable to do that. It's not possible for a diabetic to become a bodybuilder.
And when someone says you can't do that, that's the first thing that I do is like, don't tell me.
Exactly.
Don't tell me.
I heard this. I'm like, okay, right, back to the gym straight away. And I really want to go and see her now, but yeah, it was far away. But yeah, I started studying more about diabetes, plus nutrition, plus the training side of things, while I was still studying, doing my civil engineering degree in university. Because I just started feeling that I have more passion towards something that relates to me.
Yeah.
I am diabetic. If I don't have diabetes, I don't think I would have known anything about diabetes, to be honest. Yeah. And I wouldn't have been interested in bodybuilding. I'll tell you why I started doing bodybuilding. I wouldn't have been interested to know anything about nutrition. I wouldn't care. And that's a bit selfish for me. That's what I'm trying to do now, raise awareness about diabetes to everyone, not just people with diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So years passed, I've been training, and I started watching bodybuilding competitions. And I realized that, there are some people on stage that I felt that I can beat. But again, it didn't move anything inside me because I never had a passion to become a bodybuilder. When I thought about diabetes, I thought about becoming a diabetic bodybuilder.
Yeah,
that's where the idea popped. I'm like, 1 second, this would help me with my cause, because I started my social media, I started my Instagram back then.
Yeah.
It was very small, but my whole cause was, try to help people with just share my workouts, share how I test my blood sugar, how I manage my diabetes. And I started getting a lot of messages and, people contacting me, asking me about how to do this and that. And I'm kind of inspiring them and so on. So I thought, 1 second, I wanna do it now properly. I wanna become an athlete, or I wanna show people that because bodybuilding is a very, very hard sport.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it in a bit. I'll tell you exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll hit on those strategies, and
yeah,
because it's such a that again, I with my CrossFit, and nutrition is such a big part of it. Recovery is such a big part of it. Things like the protein side of things, what you do before, what you do after, the types of workout. There's so many variables to think about, include, and then you throw in diabetes on top of that.
Exactly, which is probably harder than all of that when you combine them.
Yeah.
But
so, we'll go back to the bodybuilding side of things. You decided you quote unquote wanted to be a diabetic bodybuilder, which that was the impetus really to
exactly that. I wouldn't have ever stepped on stage if I don't have diabetes.
Yeah. So what happened? So you were doing your qualifications, because I know you're a master's in civil engineering for your normal day-to-day job. Is that, or is that just a qualification?
It's not anymore. So I quit a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I quit just in 2019, end of 2019. I did it for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to focus on what I'm doing right now. So during actually my work, I became a qualified PT.
Okay.
I became a certified nutritionist.
Yeah.
And a diabetes specialist in the exercise field. So that's when I decided. I always had that passion that I want to transform. So I'm doing my daily job, which, to be honest, I didn't have much passion about. I'm not really passionate about construction, and I'm trying to mentor others with their condition. I thought, why not make this my job?
Yeah.
And means I would give more to the community. But at the same time, I would do something that I like. That's why I wanted. That's why I did. I just left my job, started my own platform called Diabetes Academy. We'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
I think I left my job at the wrong time, because I just left before COVID strikes, so it wasn't a great deal. I didn't get neither furlough or a grant. I'm just sitting at home. I'm like, ouch.
Yeah, I started a business just before COVID hit as well in the tourism industry. So yeah. That was it. Look, we've survived, but starting a business or running a business through COVID has probably been a tough, challenging time.
We made it here now, so yeah, you're good.
So yeah, you got those qualifications. You started your academy, and you
mainly I started on Instagram first. Not advertising, but claiming that I'm a coach, and obviously I understand diabetes because I have it, and so on. And what ignited what sparked the business is when I did my first bodybuilding competition.
Yeah,
because I always wear my sensors. I always show them around, and that's, I think, when it all started in 2017. So
right, the proof is in the pudding, I find, as well. This probably won't make some people happy, but I find if you're peddling something online, you have to have gone through it and experienced it. And
100%.
I have a saying that I run through. I have a question that I ask is, what is a good diabetic? And that changed for me as I grew up and over time, in that you find that a lot of people focus on the HbA1c, and this is good, and this isn't one indicative number of something. So yeah, we're all trying to get to those low ones, but all the actual studies show that aiming between 6.5 and 7.5 is a good number. For me, I'm 6.1, which I was super happy. It was my best result ever recently. But there's other things that for me, quote unquote, make a good diabetic. Because you could have a great HbA1c, but you might not be able to get up off the couch, or you might not be able to do a level of fitness, or your body composition might be swaying upon what we say, the unhealthy side, or let's say you might not be able to focus or do certain things. So yeah, for me, a good diabetic actually encompasses good nutrition and good food. It encompasses an element of fitness, and a reasonable level of fitness, for obviously for your age or for whatever you do, because all these things combined then give you a brighter future, really.
Yeah. I mean, HbA1c is basically your average numbers in the past 3 months. So
Exactly.
if you're having a lot of lows and a lot of highs, then it could balance to be something in the middle. Then that's not
exactly. You can actually fake it and influence your HbA1c if you know what you're doing. And this is one of the things the specialist said. He said, be careful on the HbA1c. Time in range is another good marker as well. So if you're in range,
I believe in time in range more. So with my clients, when I check up on them pretty much every day, and what I care about at the end of the day is the time in range. I want to see how much you've been in range during the 24 hours. Yeah. And if you're high at one point, okay, why are you high? Do we know that?
Identifying those patterns. Yeah, identifying those patterns of why this happens, of what deconstructing the day is another one. Even deconstructing the day before, because if you've done loads of exercise and other things, then it can affect you the next day as well. And also protecting your, like, one thing that I talk about as well is those really steep up rises and down corrections. Yeah, the massive swings actually can. It has been shown. There were some studies again with a guy that I was in Switzerland with. Those actually do cause damage. If you have a lot of these massive swings up and down, the body coping with that can cause some damage.
Some stuff, I think, some stuff you don't even need to have a study on. You feel it. So the swing that you just mentioned, when I go severely hyper and then severely hyper and then severely hyper, I'm shattered.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's it. I'm not doing whatever I was gonna do. I'm just lying down.
You're wiped out. Like some I know some hypos. You like, and I find that's the thing with us experiencing it, and I find it like I'm my own science experiment, and I like experimenting and doing things. In that, I can have a really bad hypo, and then that is me done for 3 hours. Like, and that again, I like to quote studies and the feeling, because the studies only reinforce what I actually feel and thought and know anyway. And that, your cognitive function is actually diminished for about 3 or 4 hours after a hypo anyway. And that tiredness, all these things that we live and experience are founded within, or are grounded within, actual reality of it happening to other people as well. So the coaching of the diabetics then, so that obviously you did your bodybuilding, did you? I see some medals behind you. So is that as a result of the bodybuilding? Did you win competitions? Did you do?
Yeah, I did around 10 shows.
Okay.
And I won 7 or 8.
Wow, okay.
And the rest I finished as a runner-up. So, and I'll tell you something, even though I won almost 80% of them or so, it's not, when I'm on stage and when I'm off stage, whether I win or not, I'm actually happy just because I competed. Not just happy, I'm proud because so this is something that I wish that people could adapt, is that my mentality when it comes to a competition, and it doesn't have to be a bodybuilding competition, it could be just a daily challenge, could be just finishing work, finishing your homework at school or your university, is you don't think of yourself as a diabetic compared to others. So don't put that excuse in till you win. Okay, I'll rephrase that. So if I am upstage with people, none of them have diabetes. So I don't know a person that I ever competed against that has diabetes.
Yeah,
there are diabetic bodybuilders in the world generally, but I never think once that I finished second place. That's because I have diabetes. It never happened. I only do that if I win the competition, and after a win, I look at them and I'm like, well, fair enough to me. I'm very proud of myself because I achieved that while having a 24/7 stressful condition that can easily ruin my prep, my bodybuilding prep for me. And it happens. It happens so many times. Diabetes and bodybuilding competition, they are not very friendly when it comes together. They don't like each other, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying bodybuilding. So definitely go build your body, put on muscle mass, do exercises and all that. But I'm talking about getting stage ready. Diabetes doesn't like that because you get yourself dehydrated, you go on zero carb, and then you do a carb load, and it's just there's so much that goes into that would make your blood sugar goes in zigzags sometimes. But my point is, once I win, I'm like, yes, I'm very proud of myself. But I would never use it as an excuse if I lose or if I didn't finish a task.
Yeah,
even if I went hypo.
Yeah, because again, even breaking, I break things now. Actually, now I do. Before I didn't, but now I break everything up into small goals and small steps. And it's I used to look at the pathway at the end and say that's what I want to achieve, and that aim is there. But now I take a step back, break down into small goals, achieve those small things, and then those small things basically amount into larger steps or stages, and then that goes forward and forward. In terms of, again, down to the bodybuilding side of things, what was, let's say, let's take it two sides. Building muscle mass normally, non-competition side of things. How, again, we're always going to bring the diabetes things in. What pitfalls or what things are there to be aware of when, say, another 18-year-old or a 20-year-old or even someone in the 40s like me says, right, I'm ready to change now. What do I need to do?
Ready to change.
Yeah, ready to change. They're physically, they're right. Okay, I'm ready. I want to put muscle mass on, or I want to lean up, or I want to take control of my health and fitness. Whereas, like, we'll say from a sedentary point of view.
Yeah, for someone with diabetes, first of all, you got to know the factors that affect your diabetes. And one of them is exercise, for sure. And you got to know how does a specific exercise would affect your blood sugar levels, because there is, again, a myth out there that people think any exercise would drop your blood sugar level, would make you go hypo. Mm-hmm. That's not true. I'll tell you on paper what is true, and then practically what could happen. Theoretically, if the exercise is aerobic, so such as walking or like cycling or like light intensity exercises, light intensity swimming, most probably your blood sugar is going to drop because you're burning calories, and the exercise is not this stressful to produce any stress hormones in your body. Mm-hmm. If the exercise is aerobic, such as lifting weights, sprinting, proper heavy lifts, any high intensity exercise, even if it's swimming or cycling, would produce stress hormones in the system. Now, when these stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, and all the stress hormones out there, they tend to make us go hyperglycemic. Okay, basically what they do is that they tell the liver, which is the source of glucose in our body, to dump glucose in our blood. Okay, because they feel that, first of all, that's the job of the hormones, like a byproduct of the job. And sometimes the body feels, hey, you know what, you're gonna do you need some energy or so. Here you go, take some glucose. And this happens in the morning when you wake up. So when you wake up, ever heard of home phenomena?
Phenomenon, yes.
Yeah, get hormones for absolutely no reason. Like you think you didn't eat anything, but you wake up hyperglycemic. Exactly that. Similar. On paper, that's how it works. But practically, me and you and whoever is listening is completely different. So some exercises that I would do would drop my blood sugar levels, but it could elevate yours.
Yeah.
So what I would say to someone is you have to have good monitoring for your blood sugar, at least at the start. So before starting an exercise or a workout, you have to know what's your blood sugar. Right? After finishing it, you have to know what's your blood sugar. And then you have to decide upon that. What are you going to do next time? If you went hyperglycemic, then it's a no-brainer to take insulin, or maybe to I combine that with a cardio that would drop your blood sugar levels. Or if you know that a specific exercise would elevate your blood sugar levels, don't ever start it when you're already hyperglycemic or on the high range of your blood sugar. And the same way, the other way around as well. If you're on the low range and you know that jogging would drop your blood sugar levels, then you know that you're gonna go hypo. So the best thing about diabetes to do is to foresee stuff, and this would come by knowing your body, and it will only happen through trial and error. I can talk to you as much as I want. I can throw in facts and everything I studied and experienced. Honestly, it means nothing if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So that's exactly
that trial and error does really work. For example, I can get up. Sundays is usually my run day, so I can get up. I know if my blood sugar is it has to be at a certain level. I drop down to one of my different profiles on my Tandem because I'm lucky. I'm really lucky to have this technology. And then I'll go for a 10K run. And I don't eat anything. I don't need anything. But because I'm just doing a steady state, it's actually not stressful for me anymore because I've done a few. I've worked up. I've built up 1Ks, 5Ks. I've got my body used to it. I'll get back. I'll see it. And I go, time for some glucose now. And then that'll just keep it right. But sometimes there's a post-exercise glucose dump as well. So again,
but what you said right now was really, really beneficial because you said that your body adapted to the workout that you've been doing. So when you started doing that same exact exercise, you probably
I needed insulin. Yeah, no, I had a banana halfway through. Halfway through, I took 10 grams of glucose with me as well. And that was like the halfway mark. And then that got me enough energy to then get back. And then I was like, okay, there's a bit of a glucose dump even after. And then I just tweaked my settings for like running. And then it got to this stage where I don't even need to do any of that before. And then things like with the heavy lifting, doing lots of deadlifts or doing doing whatever in CrossFit. And that is a lot of randomized stuff as well thrown in. But what I did learn is over time, the body adapts to that. I was finding the more muscle I was building, the more lean muscle I was building. Obviously, muscle stores glycogen and other things. I wasn't getting as tired. I didn't need to have as much food. I was getting more efficient in what I was doing. My diabetes was amazing after exercise, and I train at around between 2.5 hours a day. So I split that in the morning and then I do an evening, and generally like my blood sugars are really like fairly good all day. Because it
would make a big difference, and you wouldn't know the effect unless you tried it. So.
Exactly, and there's nothing to lose, is there?
No. I mean, as long as if you have diabetes, you have all the time. You have to have your insulin, your blood sugar monitor, and some sugar. Yeah. Anything that goes wrong, or before it goes wrong, because I'm a strong believer in like my motto is prevent, not treat. Yeah. If you can foresee something and you prevent it, that's how you stop the diabetes complication. That's what people need to know. Because I know a lot of people, they wait till they go hypo to have sugar, or they wait till they go hyper to take insulin. Yeah. I'm like, this is why diabetes can cause you complications. Yeah. Because you're allowing it to.
Because there's sorry. Yeah. No. You.
No, that's what I was going to say. If you can know...
The reason that you say that prevention is because there's a delay, isn't there? Insulin's not supposed to go through the body the way it does. So there is going to be a 20-minute delay, and depends on what insulin you've got. If you've got 5 minutes, if it's the new fast-acting one. But even if you ingest food, there's a minor delay of that ingestion and digestion process for that to go through into your system. So yeah, as you say, that prevention methodology works far, far better than the treatment methodology. The treatment is if it all goes wrong, isn't it?
Because also sometimes, depending on what you're treating exactly, if you go, let's say, hyperglycemic, I'll give like a hypothetical example here. If you're going to take 4 units of insulin, for example, guys, don't take this, it's just an example, a specific amount of food, if you decided not to take the insulin and you had that food, let's say a carbs source, and you went hyperglycemic, you might need more than 4 units to drop your blood sugar to the range it was. So when you're hyperglycemic, depends on the severity of it.
Yeah.
If you start building ketones, your body does not respond to insulin as if you were in the normal range. Okay. So avoiding all this, you can obviously, if you take insulin, it hopefully is going to drop.
Yeah.
But you don't want to take insulin when you're severely insulin resistant. Obviously, you do want to take insulin, but you don't want it to reach to that point. If you can save it, if you can just, decide 1 second, I know exactly I need this amount of insulin or I need this amount of sugar. I don't want to go into a severe hypo where I go and eat the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's one thing. It's the other way around. There's sometimes, especially the ones when you're asleep and like you don't wake up and it's like, it says on the monitor that it's low, it doesn't even give you a value anymore. And you just end up literally eating the kitchen. I used to get this sometimes when I was dieting for a competition, and it was chaos because whatever I ate, I have to deduct from my daily diet the next day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And for me, it was a nightmare. It was like, okay, so I'm eating air today. I can't do anything now.
Yeah,
so,
it's that gorging of the refrigerator, like anything that's in the fridge. And I don't know if it's new diabetic. It will be new diabetics that it does affect like this. And I went through that, but I used to gorge the fridge, but then it really, the more I learned about what I needed to do and what I needed to treat at what levels, the less that stopped. And the more I learned about with the training and calories, I'm like, okay, this is really going to affect my calories. This is going to put me weight on. This is the reason I'm not losing weight or I'm not like losing body fat or doing things, because if I have a hypo, I'll go in the fridge, I'll just go, eat everything. Yeah. And sometimes it's uncontrollable. There's this, I don't know what it is. It's this raw, animalistic, basic thing in the mind that says survive, just eat as much as possible and survive and deal with the problem after. But I think you can take control over that with the knowledge and information with someone like what you put out there and what you do with the academy and what you do with everything, where some people don't know, and it's better that they do know that it is controllable, it is manageable. With your bodybuilding side of things, again, you did mention about deducting, say, calories or deducting from your next day.
Yeah.
What strategy were you doing with food then? In terms, do you consider? And obviously, and it's objective with what goals you wanted to do. So I'll cover a few things. One is muscle mass, body fat, and calorific intake. What do you juggle or do with those things? Are you aiming to be in a range with your body fat percentage? Are you trying to keep a lean muscle mass? Are you taking in a certain amount of calories per day just to maintain everything? And things like when you go to competition, are you then upping your calorific need? And even we're going to throw in like macronutrients or breakdown of protein and carbs and fats and things. So how do you manage all that? What strategy? And as a caveat, we know it's different with everyone. So these are just basic guidelines of thought processes, because the biological needs of the human is pretty much the same. The method, the way things work are the same for most humans.
Yeah, so it's very dependent on what stage I'm in during the prep. Right now, for example, I'm not prepping for any competition. All I care about right now, I want to hit a good protein intake. So I would hit at least 180 grams of protein.
Okay.
Sometimes during competition, reaches to 300 grams of protein, which is enormous for some people. Mm-hmm. But I do it for a reason, for bodybuilding. It's not normal for you to consume that. But for anyone else, your range would be from 1.2 to 2 grams per body weight in kilograms protein. That's what you would need. Even as an athlete, obviously you go with the upper range. But if you're a bodybuilder, you're breaking the nature in a way. Like not myself, but if you look at like the bodybuilders in open categories out there, they look like clouds. You're not going to reach there having 200 grams of protein. Protein is is what builds, the muscle. It was what helps you in growth and recovery and so on. In terms of how I do it. So, for example, if I have a competition coming up, I have to decide, okay, am I starting to cut my body fat now, or I'm going to try to put as much muscle mass as possible?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to put as much muscle mass as possible, carbohydrates is not going to be low. So I'm a strong believer that you need to consume carbs.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah,
mate, I'm bored of hearing the no carbs for diabetics thing, or low carbs, or even keto. It's great for some.
I'll tell you why this is out there, but it's going to take us out of that top.
But no, we'll cover this because I loved. Look, carbohydrates. I've got a subject matter, a podcast. Carbohydrates are not the enemy, and they are not. Brilliant. And I'm bored of hearing about it.
Good. So yeah, we'll cover that up because I know why people do it, and I'll tell you exactly.
No.
How we affect you negatively.
Let's break into it now, mate. Let's just do that, and then we'll go back on how you do your foods and what you do. But yeah, let's talk about carbohydrates then.
That's a quick switch, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what are we measuring in our blood to check our blood sugar? Glucose, right? What people are saying is if you don't eat glucose, you don't have it in your blood. Therefore, your blood sugar is going to be in the normal range. Fair enough. But people don't understand what insulin resistance is and how it works and why it happens, right? And a lot of people with type 1, they think insulin resistance is only for type 2, not type 1. And I'm about to shock you, but it's unfortunate that we do get insulin resistant and we get it during the day. So it changes during the day. That's what I mean. So in the morning, you're more insulin resistant than you are in the evening, and you'll find that your insulin to carb ratio might even change and so on.
Yeah.
But why do people think that low carb works? Because you're simply not eating the glucose. So it's not in your system. Fair enough. But it doesn't mean that you treated your diabetes. You didn't cure it, right? You don't have any glucose in your blood because you're not consuming it. What side effects would that get you? Carbohydrates are glycogen. So if you just thought about doing an exercise while you're in a keto diet, you're doomed, right? Mm-hmm. Because inevitably, us as bodybuilders, 1 week before our competition, we go zero carb, but for an event, for an obvious reason, right? And I cannot explain to you how depleted, how the feeling of being, super depleted is. It's awful. So you will have no energy to do your daily activity or exercise. Let's say you're fine with that. Carbohydrates are full of minerals, fibers, and vitamins. Okay, you're getting them from nowhere unless you're taking supplements. Supplements, they don't necessarily get absorbed the way food does. Okay, and
they're called supplements for a reason as well.
Exactly, to supplement
your
diet.
Supplement.
Exactly. It's nothing that you should depend on. It's if you're not taking enough from your diet, then you take it, right? Muscle glycogen itself. So when you eat carbohydrates and when you train and when you try to, start doing some resistant exercises, you stimulate, you stimulate your muscles to produce more insulin receptors. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if there is glucose in the blood, and you've got more lean muscle mass, which carbohydrates will help in developing that because of the muscle glycogen, then the receptors are more. It means that more glucose can be absorbed and getting into the muscles. Now, again, going back to the keto point, if you're not consuming carbs, you wouldn't be gaining muscles, just full stop. No one can bulk up and put like 5 kilos of lean muscle mass on a keto diet. It's not going to happen. I bet if anyone said that it can, I'm ready to challenge them. It's not going to happen. What you can do with a keto for sure is to lose weight, 100%. Yeah. You can prepare for an event, so you can use it short term. And that's about it. People that claim that they can do it long term, it's not possible because the primary source of fuel for the brain is glucose. Correct. And if you think that you've been doing it for a long time and you think that it's working, then trust me, you could feel a lot better if you start consuming carbs. Like you made the normal, you made the worst your normal. Put it that way.
And there's a couple of there's a couple of stats or information like the brain requires, I think, 120 grams of carbs per day to function at optimum anyway. It needs fats, for example, and the prolonged keto side of things causes kidney issues long term as well. There is an effect on the kidneys potentially. So, which again, when everyone's saying, "Oh, keto is amazing, I've lost weight," but the other part of that is you've lost weight, you're doing your keto, but go and do some prolonged exercise for a bit and see how you feel after that. And
people only see what they are interested in.
Correct.
But they neglect the other stuff that get affected. So, for example, having 2,000 grams of carbs a day, that's unhealthy. That's not right. I'm not telling you to go and go eat an elephant. That's not what I'm saying. So, but people, they only see that people that bulk up, they try to gain weight for a competition, or just people that are skinny and they just want to gain weight generally, and they start eating junk food. And they're like, mate, this has got calories. And I'm like, what's in the calories? What is it made of? They don't see that. All they see is, I went from 60 kilograms to 65, but they neglect all the, other complications that would arise from it.
Yeah. And we're talking about carbs, and I talked with Paul Coker, who was another one of the guests. And we discussed about, there seems to be a disparity between what the type of carbohydrate is. Like, is it a healthy whole grain good one, or is it crap food that you're consuming? Because hey, you're a product of what you put in your body. For me, I consume anything from 200 to 300 grams of carbs a day, flat sugars, and that's because I train in the morning and the evening, and training in the morning as well also helps with that insulin sensitivity. Training in the evening stabilizes the nighttime sugars as well. So yeah, that differentiation between the carbohydrates, people seem to be forgetting as well.
Yeah, so I'm actually checking my blood sugar right now. I'm speaking. Oh, I'm alive. Yeah. But what will people tell you? What's yours?
Yeah, mine's I lost signal for a bit, and then it's come up and it's a little bit high. So. Correction. So yeah.
Right.
We've had alarms go off while doing interviews as well. Like, yeah, we've had everything happen. So no hypos online, no hypos. Well,
hopefully, yeah. Hopefully not. Imagine talking about hypos and treating it, and then all of a sudden I fall in front of you.
Yeah, God, please don't.
So this is but someone that has diabetes, or they've got a kid that has diabetes, and I always talk to parents, because they are the worried ones.
Yeah.
They would say, I don't care about anything. All I care about is blood sugar in range. Okay. So fair enough. Okay. Let's just agree with that. Now, I'll quickly, in like a minute, go through insulin resistance and just show you how when you're consuming a lot of fats, because people don't even consume healthy fats. They go all in with the fats. What happens to your insulin resistance? So if we have a cell that is meant to be preoccupied with a number of fats, fats molecules, fatty acids, number of glucose molecules, number of insulin molecules as well. Now, these cells are now, they contain more fats than usual, because your diet contains a lot of fats, or not even a lot of fats. Your diet contains anything that would make you gain fat. So even if you overeat carbs, you will gain fat. So I'm just talking about avoiding gaining that fat, okay? But if you consume fat, it is what it's going to be in the bloodstream, right? Because there's no glucose. So you are what you eat, just exactly what you said. When you occupy that fat cell, that cell with too much fat, neither the insulin or the glucose, if you consume any, will be able to enter, right? So someone will say, okay, I'm not consuming any glucose, so then there is no problem. Fair enough, but at one point in your life, you will. And when you do so, you are going to struggle to drop that out. You're going to struggle to get that glucose inside, because it's not going to you're not going to be needing the same amount of insulin that you used to need before. You're going to require a lot more because you're insulin resistant. So for me, going zero carb or low carb, it doesn't solve the issue. It masks it. So it masks it for you till you start eating carbs again. And you will. You will, because
You need to.
You can't live like that.
Yeah,
you would.
You need to. Insulin, yeah, like I say, insulin does not like traveling through fat cells either, does it? That's the one thing. It's not a fan of doing that. Hence why also, so we've gone to the carbs, the fats of it. This is where I found when I was training, when I went through my transformational sort of, I did 100-day, I did my own 100-day challenge. I logged everything. I went from 21% body fat down to 9.9% body fat in the 100 days.
Wow.
And that really, like, my basal insulin went from about 26 units a day down to about 16. And that, for me, showed me the evidence of, like, this correlated body fat to insulin sensitivity, and the direct correlation to the exercise that I was doing, in that you reduce your body fat, your diabetes will naturally just be better controlled. You won't need as much insulin.
Think type 2 diabetes. Just think about type 2. Why does that happen? Exactly that.
Yeah. So there's such a correlation between that. And yeah, I did it 100 days. It was hell for 100 days. And I've written a book about it, and I'm just waiting. It's been a year and a bit.
Way.
And yeah, I've written a book about it, and it's gone. The book's also gone through my 36 years of diabetes from being a 5-year-old child, through everything. So I'm just waiting. I'm trying to find a publisher.
What did you do during the 100 days? Is it
what did I do?
What was harder, diet or exercise?
The exercise I love. I love all of it. I'll eat the same foods every day if I've got a goal. I don't care what foods I ate. Like, there was a specific reason, and I eat for function now. I eat for purpose, not for pleasure, really.
Okay.
And that really transformed the way things happened. Like, there was an objective, there was a calorific objective, there was a macronutrient objective, and it taught me so much within that period of time, how my body responded to things. And I'm obsessive about things typically. Right. And like I say, from being a programmer, I'm a data analyst as well. And I just got my head into the data side of things. And I was picking up like say correlated data, or I was trying to make it objective. I was trying to do science. And my wife she has a master's in medical microbiology as well, and she loves this as well. That's the other thing. So we were getting really into it, and then seeing the fruits of the labor quite quickly made it even better. And knowing, like, the way that I was treating my diabetes before, it really forced me to change and really sort of wake up, because as a 5-year-old growing up, it just, like say, it just got enrolled into my life. And then it was just a part of it. Like, it was life for me, just being diabetic. And I got lazy with it. That's one thing.
So that's why I wanted to tell you at the start when you told me about pre-story was this. Back then, as you said, there wasn't that social community that we have now. So social media did us a big favor, because again, I wouldn't have known anyone if I didn't know that a community exists, or if they didn't get connected to others. Yeah. And I'll tell you, when I speak to someone that they didn't know that there are others like them out there, you don't understand how happy they get. They're just shocked. They're like, wow, so you're like, when they speak to me like, you're diabetic, I'm like, yeah. And some of them are not even fascinated about me doing what I'm doing as much as I am diabetic. Like, there's another one. So knowing that others are going through what you're going through, others are like you, makes a huge difference, especially if you're a kid. Yeah,
and this is, again, this is the one good thing with social media.
The rest is toxic.
The toxic stuff is toxic, but if you're not going to do anything to pull people up, then there's no point doing it at all with social media. You've got to push people up, pull people up, inspire, change. And again, all I did was reach out to you on Instagram, and this is what I do with everyone. It's like, hey, fellow diabetic, do you want to chat about diabetes? And it's therapeutic in a way. And hopefully these podcasts and the videos, when people are listening to it, they know, like, okay, you've got someone who's achieved this, you've got me, who's been a long-term diabetic for many years and also gone to hell and back with many things as well. But there's always another day. It's like not even survival, but even with everything that's happened, I'm still super happy with everything that's gone on, because I learn, I implement these changes, and I set new goals. Like I say, I'm super goal driven, and I think anyone that's struggling, start to set small goals or start to do small things and then build upon that, because that I think that the way the mind works as a goal orientated mind really pays dividends with anyone that might be struggling. Now, we are, what are we on? We're on just over an hour, I think. So in terms of technology as well, you did the bodybuilding. We'll skirt on, we'll hit back to the breakdown on the calories and the macronutrient side of things, actually, because we went off onto the carbs, which was well served. But yeah, in terms of calories and stuff, with what you're doing, like off season and then on season for doing competition, what do you do there?
I never count calories.
Okay.
Never. I count macronutrients.
Okay.
Because if I count calories, I can go to McDonald's, have a double Big Mac, and I'll just say, oh, that's got the same calories as a bowl of rice and chicken and broccoli, whatever it is.
Okay.
So I never cared about calories, but protein is the one that I count the most. So as I said, I go from 180 all up to 300 during competition. I weigh, just for people to understand, I weigh between 85 to 84 to 94. I fluctuate between that weight. So when I'm depleted on stage, I get to 84, 85.
Okay.
5 or even not even 5, like 3-4 days after the competition, I'm 94 because I just eat a whole supermarket.
Okay.
I'm like, I just eat everything. My friend did actually counted for me how much calories I consumed after one of the competitions that I was very, very, very deprived. And I consumed in 2 days 40,000 calories. So it's like no one believes it, but I'm like, yes, this happened. I used to have like a tray of brownie, and I just have it as if it's a chocolate bar. So that's what I'm saying. Bodybuilding stage, being on stage, unless you're able to control it. So I managed to control my blood sugar at the time. Unless you're able to control it, then it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
But bodybuilding for training to build muscles, honestly, gaining, putting on lean muscles, as you said, is very important. Actually, it reduces your insulin resistance, and it makes your body, the more muscle mass you have, the better your BMR is. You're burning more calories because it's all based on lean muscle. The calculation is all based on lean muscle, not your whole weight. And so is cardio as well. So if you're doing cardio, improving your cardiovascularity, knowing, improving the blood flow in your system, improving the delivery of oxygen and glucose. So exercise, brilliant. Stage is a different story.
Yeah.
In terms of carbohydrates, during prep, it ranges from 200, drops to 50, and then some days drops to 0, depending on my condition, like a week before.
Yeah. Very
hard for someone with diabetes to drop it to 0 because simply I want to avoid a hypo and I'll just consume sugar. I wouldn't care when it comes to managing my diabetes. It's my top priority. I don't care what competition I'm doing. I don't care what medal I'm after. It doesn't matter. If I know that I cannot prevent a hypo or a hyper, I will do it. Yeah. And of course, if I do go hypo or hyper, I would treat it. There's no way I'm gonna leave it just so I don't consume calories. So that's not. But that's when it gets hard because, as I said, if I consume something out of my plan, I have to make up for it. And other people, they don't deal with that. Some days, honestly, if I need to consume only 100 grams of carbs and I consume 50 of them, in the form of a Lucozade or sweets or something that didn't fill me up, then I'm only left with 50 grams, or I'm only left with 0 carbs to consume. So I get hungry and I don't have the energy to train, and it becomes so hard. Others, any carbs they would consume would probably be rice, potato, pasta, sweet potato, oats, something that would fill them up, something that's full of fibers. That's where it gets hard. And that's where I get proud. I become proud of myself if I win. But I wouldn't say that, I'm diabetic. That's why I didn't win. So that's why I said.
In terms of tracking your macros, how do you do that? With I saw on your social media that you was it an app that you were looking that you had on?
It's quite new, so it's not something that I've been using for a while. But there's an app called Quinn. It doesn't track macros, but it's what it does is the trial and error I mentioned. So instead of writing it in a piece of paper or remembering it in case you forget, it's an app that is for that. So basically, you put what you ate, you put the insulin that you want. What's your blood sugar? Oh, you went hyper. Okay, next time what you're gonna do? So it kind of draws a map for you. For people that like using apps, I find it beneficial. Some people, they just remember what they did and what they're gonna do. So again, if you remember, it's fine. As long it doesn't matter how you record what happened before, as long as you take action next time. You don't want to do the same error again. Because that's the whole point of the trial and error.
There are benefits, though, to the memory side of things. I would urge people to try and record it either on a spreadsheet or up, though, because there is benefits to identifying long-term data patterns with that as well. Like your memory might not serve you so well as you get older or whatever, but it's easier to identify patterns if you have a long-term record. Now, do you do injections or do you have a part, you Omnipod it or Tandem or what?
So I use an Omnipod. I'm the fitness ambassador, but sometimes when I take it off and I want to give the areas that I install it a break, I just use MDI. I'm fine with both. I don't have any fear of injections or anything like that. But trust me, for me, a pump helped me a lot. Excuse me. When it comes something called dawn phenomenon I mentioned earlier. Dawn phenomenon is when you wake up hyperglycemic because of the hormones that get produced at dawn. Like scientists say between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. So it depends. There is just no way to control it with MDI.
No,
unless you're gonna wake up before, unless you know exactly when it's gonna happen. Wake up before it. Take insulin, but again, that insulin is going to cover the period whatever period is going to cover. But if your body keeps on producing hormones, it's done. And so you need to do something about your basal, not your bolus.
Yeah, and if you keep on waking up early, your dawn phenomenon possibly will move as well because it's preemptive hormone release based on when you're going to wake up in part of like your circadian rhythms or like your normal time that you wake up. But again, I had Omnipod a few years back, and it completely transformed everything in my life from MDI to going to moving to the being a podder, as it would be because of what you said, that customized basal profiles, and it really opened up for me that training and exercise side of things as well. In that, I could really adjust or like dial down 50%. Dial down 85% my insulin if I was training and stop it if I was like feeling, because I used to stop my insulin as I was feeling like I could see it going down, and I'd stop that automatically, and like similar to what the Tandem does now with Control IQ. But I was doing it manually.
Having control over your basal is
it's amazing. And do you have the Libra or Dexcom or what?
So I'm on a Libra now.
Okay.
Yeah, I use Dexcom as well. I believe that the tech that we're having right now is making the difference, because when I didn't get the Libra straight away when I got diagnosed. I probably took it maybe, 4 years afterwards. And I self-funded it as well. I didn't take any insurance at the start. But I remember the days when I used to train or used to play football, and I used to measure my blood sugar with the monitor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy, I had to get the pack out, open it, put the test strips in. I go wash my hands first, then prick my finger, put it back in, check. Right, that's one time before training, and then there are like 3-4 more times just during training. So it wasn't very convenient, but it was doable. For people that don't have a sensor, it was doable, and I did it. I think one of my first competitions I was on, I was just before the competitions, I was using the monitor. But obviously, something like a Libra or a Dexcom, or there's another one coming up called Adix as well.
Okay, I've not seen that one.
Yeah, it's not out yet. It's by GlucoRx. It's going to be very similar to Dexcom. These stuff, they make a difference. It makes life easier. So while I'm trying to you right now, I can just simply tap it.
Yeah.
Have a look. You know how it is. Even now, with the Libra, there are never mind.
Yeah,
I was going to say, never mind. Yeah,
no, there's something, but yeah, there was a news article yesterday about the NHS's movement to the flash technology, such as the Libra, and integration of that, and really how much it is changing people's lives that are on the flash technology, and how much they're moving more towards that than anything, because especially with things like the pandemic, the ability for your health professionals to check your patterns and review that data has been, without being able to go to your diabetes center or your doctor or hospital or wherever, they're able to assess things from remotely, which has been of great benefit.
Yeah.
Now, technology has been such a great thing. You were recently at was it the diabetes conference or the show that was on there? Was
the Diabetes Professional Care Conference? Yeah, so it was like a 2 days event that they do. It's like an expo, 2 days expo that they do for diabetes professionals. And
anything interesting that came out of there from that visit?
Because I'm already on Omnipod, then I wasn't very excited because I'm on it and I present them anyway. But I've seen stuff that I've never known that they exist. So there is, for example, so there I can't remember the brand name, but basically I think they're called Sugar Watch. Sure, if you heard of them. They have a sensor that is made for type 2 diabetics that you just put on, and again it just gives you the readings on your phone. But it lasts only for 14 hours. And I had a big chat with them. I tried to understand why. Why would I have it for 14 hours? They're like, no, it's for type 2s. I'm like, even if it's a type 2, why would they want it for only 14 hours if they're going to put a sensor anyway?
Exactly.
That's one of the things that surprised me. Other stuff I spoke to, I was speaking to the Libra team, and hopefully Libra 3 is coming out very soon. So I'm not sure if I should say this actually, but I did. But very soon, probably in January or something.
No, I think there's been some news about it anyway. There's they know that it's, again, obviously you've got the Dexcom G7 coming out next year as well, and I am hoping to be an early. I'm lucky because I get the early test of things with my hospital, because my hospitals are part of at the forefront of pump technology and glucose technology, so they get all the really cool stuff, and I'm one of those people that's like, I want that always to test out and to give reviews and feedback on. So
because it should be better than what's before anyway. So
but we'll wrap up now. So just a final thing about the academy that you do. What was it called? What was it?
Diabetes Academy.
Not Diabetes Academy. The
K-Shred.
There's it. K-Shred. Just a little bit about that, and then where can people find you as well? We've had such a good chat, and like I say, the beauty of social media is people can reach out to contact you. They can sign up to your programs, or then they can reach out to me, who can reach out to you. But tell us about K-Shred and the objective of that.
K-Shred is a website that I developed during my work as a civil engineer. And it wasn't diabetes. It wasn't bespoke to people with diabetes. That's when I started my online training business and started selling products. I'm affiliated with pretty much all the supplement websites in UK, and I sell the products and so on. What I would say is what interests, and it's my brand as well. So I sell clothes and stuff on it. But what's more important for people is actually Diabetes Academy.
Okay.
The website for that is diabetesacademy.net. It's a platform that, again, I just developed to try to guide and mentor people with diabetes. So what I do on it is that I post free content every day or every week for people to act. All you need to do is just to sign up and go to the members area, access it. Just trying to teach people about, you know, the basics of diabetes, but also at an advanced level of how to train or what to do as an athlete. And then it's not only for people with diabetes, even those called Diabetes Academy. The stuff that I post on it is also nutrition related and exercise related. So I'd say it's very beneficial for people that like to read or watch videos. But also, that's where I sell my diabetes is on. So again, online training. If you want me to coach you online, coach you in how to manage your diabetes. I do like day by day kind of management. I check your, as I said at the start, I check your graphs. I check your time and target. We do adjustments to your insulin. We do adjustments to your exercise, and obviously your nutrition. And again, there are packages that are not for people with diabetes, and there are stuff that would help you, like as a one-time purchase, like ebooks and stuff like that. I also on it, I started producing my own patches, so Libra patches. Mm-hmm. I tried a lot in the market. Not all of them were really good. I thought, if I know what's wrong with them, I can maybe, you know, put it out. And I concluded why they peel off is because they're too long. So I produced ones that are shorter. So yeah, it's a comprehensive platform. I think people who, if you have diabetes, again, it's for free. So jump on diabetesacademy.net. If you want to reach me either through it or through my Instagram at Mr. Keshta, MrKeshta, or on my Facebook page. So it's called Khalid Kestha, the Diabetic Coach. The last thing that I have as well that I post on a lot is YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel where I post everything on. So again, it's called Khalid Kestha Diabetes.
Cool. So you know where to find him. And when I'm between one of my two locations at the moment, and when I'm back in the UK, I'll be sure to come and see Khalid, and then we'll get on the YouTube channel together. We'll try it. We'll do whatever needed to be done. So yeah, right. We will round it out at that. It's a long one today again. I seem to be doing more long podcasts now and vlogs because there's so much to talk to, and I don't think we've even touched upon other things. So we're going to save that for maybe another 6 months when we'll get back together. So Khalid, thank you very much for talking everything about what you do, your diabetes and the fitness. You've been listening to the Conscious Diabetic podcast and video. You can find me at Conscious Diabetic, and that is pretty much everywhere. It's the same title wherever you may find me. Big thank you to everyone who listened. Big thank you from Khalid as well. Yeah, check you out soon next week where we've got more amazing diabetic guests talking about how they win. So yeah, signing out, guys. Thank you very much.
For more information about being a conscious diabetic, check out consciousdiabetic.com. Check out our Conscious Diabetic socials on Instagram and Facebook at Conscious Diabetic. Are you a conscious diabetic? Leave us your reviews and feedback.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Big love. Love.
Love.
From all of us.